Your dog may love you far more deeply than you realize. Not in the simple way people talk about online, not just because they get excited when you come home, or wag their tail when you say their name. Those are obvious signals. The real signs are quieter, smaller, hidden inside behaviors most people overlook every single day, and once you understand them, you begin to realize something uncomfortable. Your dog has probably been trying to communicate love to you for years, in a language you were never taught to see. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 9 behaviors that reveal genuine emotional attachment in dogs, and one of them, number 7, is so subtle that most owners completely miss it right before the relationship changes. Welcome to Canine Mind. If you care about understanding what your dog is actually feeling beneath the surface, subscribe now. This one matters. Let's begin with the sign most people misunderstand from the very start. Sign number 9, checking on you while resting. A dog who truly feels emotionally connected to you does something interesting even while relaxed. They monitor your location, not obsessively, not anxiously, quietly. You'll see it when they're lying across the room with their eyes half closed, and you stand up. Their head lifts immediately, sometimes only for a second, sometimes just enough to confirm where you're going before settling back down again. Most people think this means the dog is needy or overly dependent, but biologically, something else is happening. Dogs are social nervous systems. In bonded relationships, the brain begins treating certain individuals as environmental anchors. Your movements matter to them automatically because your presence has become neurologically important. And this is the important distinction. A dog who checks on you constantly from anxiety looks tense. Their body is restless. Their movement feels compulsive. But a bonded dog checking on you looks soft, calm, regulated. They are not panicking about where you are. They simply want awareness of your position, because somewhere in their nervous system, your location equals safety. Sign number 8, sleeping with their back toward you. This surprises people. Humans associate eye contact with trust. Dogs often associate vulnerability with trust instead. A dog who sleeps facing away from you while remaining physically close is exposing one of the most vulnerable areas of their body, their back, their spine, their blind side. In canine social behavior, exposing vulnerable positioning to another individual requires a certain level of nervous system confidence, especially during sleep. This is why dogs who do not trust someone deeply tend to maintain visual orientation during rest. They stay partially alert. They monitor movement constantly, but dogs who feel emotionally safe around you often do the opposite. They disengage monitoring, and if your dog regularly presses their back against your leg or sleeps facing away while staying physically connected, that behavior is usually saying something emotionally significant. I do not feel the need to watch you. That is trust in one of its purest biological forms. And in a moment, we'll get to the behavior that looks almost insignificant on the surface, but behaviorists often see as one of the strongest indicators of emotional attachment. Sign number 7, they stop choosing distance. This is the one people miss, because love in dogs is often measured less by excitement and more by voluntary proximity. A deeply bonded dog repeatedly chooses closeness even when nothing is being offered in return. No treats, no commands, no stimulation, just presence. You'll notice it in tiny moments. They leave a comfortable spot just to lie near you. They follow you into rooms with nothing interesting inside. They settle near your feet instead of somewhere objectively more comfortable. And then, sometimes, this changes. Gradually, the dog starts resting farther away, stops following as often, chooses isolation over shared space. Most owners assume the dog is becoming more independent. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes emotional distance develops. Before people recognize it consciously, dogs repeat environments and positioning that feel emotionally rewarding to them. If a dog consistently stops choosing proximity, the nervous system is often communicating that something about the emotional dynamic has shifted. Stress in the household, repeated corrections, unpredictable handling, lack of engagement. The change usually happens quietly first, which is why this sign matters so much, because the absence of closeness can reveal more than excitement ever could. And if your dog still consistently chooses to be near you for no practical reason at all, that is not habit, that is attachment. Sign number 6, bringing you objects they do not actually want to lose. People misunderstand toy bringing all the time. Not every toy presentation is an invitation to play. Sometimes it is social offering. A dog will bring an object they value, place it near you, and simply stay there. No tugging, no demanding, just presence. In canine social behavior, access to valued resources matters enormously. Food, toys, resting spaces. These are emotionally important objects. So when a dog voluntarily shares access to something they care about, they are revealing trust around possession, and this becomes even more meaningful in dogs naturally prone to guarding behavior. A dog who protects resources from strangers but relaxes possession around you is communicating something very specific. You are psychologically included inside their safe social group. That matters more than most people realize, because trust around valued objects is not automatic in animals, it is earned. Sign number 5, the slow blink. This behavior is subtle enough that most people never notice it unless they're specifically looking for it. A dog who slowly blinks while looking at you is often displaying nervous system softness, not exhaustion, not boredom. Safety. In mammals, prolonged, relaxed blinking typically appears when the nervous system feels low threat exposure. The body stops prioritizing hypervigilance. This is why stressed dogs often stare intensely without blinking much at all. Their nervous system is actively monitoring, but emotionally secure dogs soften around people they trust. Their facial muscles loosen, their eyes soften, blinking slows. And if your dog does this while calmly observing you, especially during quiet moments with no stimulation around, there is a good chance you are seeing emotional regulation in real time. Quickly, before we continue, if your dog does even 2 or 3 of these behaviors consistently, you may already mean far more to them than you realized. Subscribe to Canine Mind if you want to keep learning the hidden language behind canine attachment. Sign number 4, they interrupt their own comfort to follow you. This behavior reveals something profound about emotional prioritization. Watch carefully. What happens when your dog is deeply comfortable, half asleep, warm, settled completely? Now stand up and leave the room. Some dogs will remain exactly where they are, but bonded dogs often do something fascinating. They make a decision that makes no logical sense from a comfort perspective. They get up anyway. Not because they need food, not because they expect entertainment, because your movement triggered social relevance stronger than physical comfort. That is not simple dependency. It is attachment hierarchy. The nervous system has unconsciously ranked your location as more important than remaining comfortable alone. And the deeper the bond becomes, the more automatic this response tends to feel. Sometimes they do not even fully wake up before following, they just rise instinctively, as though some part of them already decided long ago that where you go matters. Sign number 3, sighing after physical contact. This is one of the most emotionally revealing sounds dogs make. A dog who settles beside you, receives gentle touch, then releases a long, slow sigh is often showing parasympathetic activation. In simpler terms, their nervous system is powering down from alertness into relaxation. The sigh matters because relaxed exhalation is biologically difficult during stress states. Tension keeps the body partially activated, but emotionally safe dogs often exhale differently around trusted individuals. longer, slower, heavier. Almost like the body is releasing something it no longer feels the need to carry. And if you've ever felt your dog press against you, sigh deeply, then fall asleep moments later, you were probably witnessing trust becoming physical. Sign number 2, they watch the door after you leave. This behavior gets misread constantly. People see their dog sitting near the door after they leave the house and immediately assume separation anxiety. Sometimes it is anxiety, but not always, because there is a major difference between panic and emotional anticipation. A dog experiencing severe separation distress usually shows escalation, behaviors, pacing, panting, whining, inability to settle, destructive coping. But bonded dogs often display something quieter, waiting. They orient themselves toward the last place they saw you disappear, not frantically, not chaotically, just attentively, because your absence still matters to their nervous system even when they are otherwise calm. This is especially visible in dogs who hear familiar sounds before humans even notice them. A distant car door, footsteps outside, keys moving. Suddenly, the body changes, the ears lift, the head turns, the nervous system activates before visual confirmation even happens, and then comes the moment most owners underestimate, the reunion. Not the dramatic jumping or spinning necessarily, the orientation. A bonded dog immediately redirects emotional focus toward you when you return. Their body reorganizes around your presence, and importantly, this response does not fade simply because the dog is older or calmer. Deep attachment in dogs often becomes quieter with age, not weaker, which brings us to the final sign, and honestly, this may be the most emotionally important one of all. Sign number 1, they choose you when they are vulnerable. This is the behavior that reveals the deepest level of canine attachment. Watch what your dog does when they are frightened, in pain, uncertain, startled by something unfamiliar. Who do they move toward? Because in social animals, vulnerability exposes the truth of attachment faster than comfort ever can. A dog who seeks you during thunderstorms, who presses against your legs at the veterinarian, who searches for your face during uncertainty, is revealing where their nervous system believes safety exists. Not entertainment, safety. And biologically, that distinction matters enormously. Dogs do not instinctively move toward individuals they do not trust during moments of vulnerability. Stress strips behavior down to emotional essentials, which means the person a dog chooses during fear is often the person their nervous system trusts most deeply. Even rescue dogs with difficult histories eventually reveal this when strong attachment forms. You'll see the shift slowly. At first they self-isolate during stress. Then eventually, they begin orienting toward one person specifically, not because fear disappeared, because trust became stronger than the fear. And once that happens, the relationship changes permanently. Here's the truth behind all 9 of these signs. Dogs rarely express love the way humans expect them to, not through dramatic declarations, not through constant excitement, but through nervous system behaviors, positioning, orientation, relaxation, following, monitoring, choosing closeness over and over again in tiny moments most people barely notice. Real canine attachment is usually quiet. It looks like a dog sleeping with their back against your leg because they trust you enough to stop monitoring the room. It looks like a tired dog getting up anyway, just because you stood up. It looks like a slow blink from across the room. A sigh during touch, a body settling softer in your presence than anywhere else in the world. And perhaps the most important part is this. Dogs cannot fake nervous system safety. Their bodies always tell the truth eventually. So if your dog consistently chooses proximity, softens around you, follows your movement, shares vulnerability, and seeks you during uncertainty. You may mean far more to them than you ever realized, not as an owner, not as a provider, but as home. And once you truly understand what these small behaviors are saying, you stop asking whether your dog loves you and start realizing they've been proving it every single day in ways quieter than words ever could.